Which moves us nicely, as Shirley said, to Itamar Avneri, Israeli peace activist, one of the co-founders, co-organisers of the Solidarity Group Standing Together, which was established a decade ago. He's in Paris for an event this evening. He joins us in the studio. Great to see you tonight. Before we get on to what your group is doing, Itamar, just listening to Shirley's point a moment ago, when we're listening to how you see a diplomatic solution with these, up to 200 Hamas fighters in a tunnel. What are your thoughts on how to resolve this?
Well, I can't comment on this specific issue because I'm not in the negotiating room and I don't know really what everybody is trying to achieve. But I think what we has to remember also that there is a lot of political interest in here. And I suppose that the Americans and the Europeans want to solve this issue. But in the Israeli government, there are ministers and there are forces who want the ceasefire to collapse. And it's very obvious that they are trying to use this specific situation in order to advance a collapse of the ceasefire. And this is what I am very afraid of. And this is what I think many Israelis and, of course, also Palestinians are very afraid of, that elements inside our government actually wants to continue with the war and wants to return to the war because they told us all the way through the war that they want to conquer Gaza and expel the Palestinians, and now that the world stopped them and the Israeli public stopped them, they are very frustrated.
I wonder if the dynamic changes this week, and I wonder your thoughts on this. If one of the reasons that was standing in the way, critics would say, of Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister, of putting off his corruption case for alleged bribery, for fraud, which he denies, suddenly President Trump writes to the president in Israel this week to say, pardon him. Well, I don't want to get involved, but what did he say a month ago? Cigars and champagne, who the hell cares anyway? Could that be a factor?
For sure it's a factor when they are talking, among one another.
But is it something you would want to see or welcome? And
no,
A, Trump getting involved, and B,
absolutely
clemency?
No. When you talk with people in Israel, the feeling is that we became a colony of the US, the 51st state or something like that. And it's ridiculous for us that Trump is getting himself involved in our internal affairs. I think that Benjamin Netanyahu he is standing on trial, and the trial should continue, and we want the trial to continue. And maybe he'll find not guilty, that's fine. But no, we don't want that.
Tell us about your event tonight. Tell us about Standing Together. You've been there 10 years now.
Yeah.
Just how it's shaped as an organisation, how it's changed since the conflicts began. Give us a sense of where you stand right now.
So Standing Together, we are the biggest grassroots movement in Israel, not only on the left, but the biggest movement in Israel right now. This is a joint movement of Jewish and Palestinian people who are all citizens of Israel. And when we established the movement 10 years ago, the cause was to fight for a just peace, ending the occupation, and also for equality and social justice inside Israel. In the last 2 years, since October 7 and then the war on Gaza, we mainly focus, of course, on stopping this war, bringing back the hostages, allowing also the Palestinians in Gaza to rebuild their lives, also stopping what's going on right now in the West Bank with a lot of settlers, violent settlers that are attacking the Palestinian communities. And what we are trying to do right now, we are in the opposition, of course, in our country, and we oppose our government. But we also acknowledge that it's not going to be enough just to stop a war. If we really want to live in peace and in prosperity and in safety, everybody, both Jewish people and Palestinian people, what we have to achieve is a Palestinian peace, a just Israeli-Palestinian peace. And this is what we are trying to do right now on the ground. The far right in Israel, they have a solution for the conflict, and their solution is to expel all Palestinians. What we are trying to say is that there is a real solution, but the solution is to understand that there are approximately 7 million Jewish people on the land and approximately 7 million Palestinians on the land, and no one is going nowhere. And so we have to work together to build the trust and to achieve peace of two states.
How do you navigate a path when you have so much concern from Israelis, from the Jewish population about the pro-Palestinian movement, demonstration, marches from the river to the sea, and conversely, when it comes to pro-Israeli demonstrations, clearly are lesser than what we're seeing with pro-Palestinian demonstrations around the world. But how do you find a route through the middle of that? Do you say no to attending any demonstrations? What do you do?
So we are going to our demonstrations, and we are trying to organize demonstrations. And because we are working mainly inside Israel and not abroad, we are here right now, but we're not working abroad. For us, that is not a problem. And, it's very true that in our land, people are immersed in trauma and in fear. For Israelis, October 7 was a proof that Palestinians don't want peace. For Palestinians, the war on Gaza after that and the violence in the West Bank is a proof that Israelis don't want peace. But actually, if you're looking in the polls and if you're talking with people, the overwhelming majority in both societies, in the Palestinian society, in Gaza also even, and in the West Bank, and also the Jewish-Israeli society inside Israel, people want to live in peace. They don't believe that it's possible. So what we are trying to do is to show our society that it is possible, that we have partner on the other side. Tomorrow we are going to meet with many, many Palestinian leaders in Bordeaux, not in Paris, in Bordeaux, and we are going to talk with them. And the aim is to show our societies that actually the people who can be our partners, they're already here. We are already talking, and this is what we are trying to do.
One thing that strikes me is that this is not an easy campaign for you. I think I'm right to say that you've faced death threats for speaking out, for criticising the far-right government, for criticising the National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, media smears too. How do you navigate through that right now? Is it you're simply you continue, and is it despite your ideas for the government maybe blowing in the wind right now if they have another agenda, but what keeps you going?
In the last few weeks, we are going to the West Bank because this is the olive harvest season. And the olive harvest season is the most violent season of the year in the West Bank. And right now, it's extremely violent. And last week, I was there, and there was a drone above our head sent by settlers. And then they crashed this drone over one of the Israeli activists who came with us. And they came with weapons. They shot above our head live ammunition and stole the drone. And people are asking us, aren't you afraid? And the answer is, of course we are. It's very, very frightening. But we are also very, very afraid of what would happen if we will not do what we are doing. I get to see each and every day in the offices of Standing Together a different, viable, potential future for the land of Israel and Palestine, where Jewish people and Palestinian people are working together, speaking Arabic and Hebrew, and fighting together for a just peace for everybody. And we know that if we're not going to do that, and if we are not going to fight this good fight, the far right would win, and then everything would be horrible. So yeah, it is very, very frightening, but we have to do it. We have to do it for our sake.
One united plan that seems to be put out there in the last few months, as Shirley knows as well, which is and he was on this programme talking to me about it, Ehud Olmert, the former Prime Minister, called the Olmert al-Kidwa plan. So it's Nasser al-Kidwa, the former Palestinian foreign minister, a plan for a two-state solution. It's been praised for its bipartisanship, but one thing that's controversial for some is the fact that Ehud Olmert has spent time in prison. His name seems to be tarred by that for a section of Israeli society. It omits Palestinian right of return for refugees. Admits accountability for war crimes as well on both sides. Where do you stand on that? Do you support it?
Yeah, we absolutely support it. But what we are always saying is that we don't lack solutions. There are many solutions. The two-state solution, the one-state solution, federation, confederation. We have the solutions. What we don't have yet is enough political will and political power from within the Israeli society, which is the force on the ground. We are much stronger than the Palestinian society, of course. We don't have enough power in order to force our leaders to start negotiate for this peace plan or another peace plan. So what we are trying to do is to organize our society in order to demand our leaders to go through with such kind of plan. But yeah, absolutely.
Just one point about what we're hearing from the EU actually in the past hour or so. I'd love to get your take on it, which is Shirley talked about the momentum from the Trump administration trying to keep something going, that there is some kind of a ramp towards the next stage, which seems incredibly difficult right now, having an international stabilisation force. We're hearing from the EU plans to train 3,000 Palestinians as police officers to return to Gaza to be voted on in the next few days by EU foreign ministers. Is that a goer for you?
I haven't heard about it before, just hearing about it right now. But, the basic answer is Yes. For me, as an Israeli, I know that my safety depends on Palestinian independence and Palestinian sovereignty. So for me, I want to see an independent Palestinian state alongside Israel, but not a quasi-state, a real state with the army, with the ability to defend itself. And I know that if that would happen, I will be much safer in Israel. So I don't know about this specific plan, but if I'm trying to think about what is it that we need to achieve in the future, the answer is absolutely yes.
Itamar, really good to talk to you, your campaign and your determination as well.
Thank you very much.
Itamar Avneri, Israeli peace activist, one of the co-organisers of the Solidarity Group Standing Together.